Welcome to the Global War Watch Network. Before we jump in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss our analysis. All right, let's talk about ASEAN. It brings 10 Southeast Asian nations under one roof. But is it actually a powerful force on the world stage? Or is it more, just symbolic? Here's what you need to know.
Here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get into what ASEAN actually is. Then we'll look at the case for it being an economic powerhouse. But we'll also explore the flip side, the idea that it's a house divided. We'll see how it juggles the great powers, and finally, we'll try to reach a verdict.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is this organization that you hear about so often in Asian affairs?
At its heart, ASEAN, that's the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, was born from a really simple but very ambitious idea: to promote cooperation and, maybe more importantly, to prevent conflict. You can think of it as a regional club designed to get a very, very diverse group of neighbors talking and trading with each other, instead of repeating the conflicts of the past.
And these are the 10 members. I mean, look at this list. It's an incredibly varied group. You've got everything from bustling, sometimes messy democracies to really tightly controlled authoritarian states. And that diversity is both a huge strength and, as we're about to see, one of its biggest challenges.
Together, these 10 countries represent a massive population of over 678 million people. To put that into perspective, that makes it the third most populous region in the entire world, right behind China and India. That is a lot of people.
And all those people, well, they drive a combined economy of nearly $4 trillion. So this is no minor player we're talking about. It's a really significant economic force on the global stage, one that major companies and countries simply cannot afford to ignore.
Now, the organization has grown a lot since its 5 founding members. That was Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand got together way back during the Cold War. They are kind of a bulwark against communism. But over the decades, it's steadily expanded to include pretty much all of Southeast Asia, and it looks like Timor-Leste is set to become the 11th member soon.
So, how does all of this translate into real-world power? Well, the main case for ASEAN's influence really rests on its incredible economic achievements. This is where the organization truly shines.
And this right here perfectly illustrates their biggest success. Through things like the ASEAN Free Trade Area, they've managed to get rid of almost all tariffs on trade between member countries. They've basically created a single market, making it way easier for goods to flow across the whole region.
Now, this quote from a major supporter, Kishore Mahbubani, really gets to the heart of the argument. He says that ASEAN's quiet, consensus-based approach, people often call it the ASEAN way, has performed geopolitical miracles. What he means is, it's turned a region of historic rivals into peaceful, cooperative partners.
And it's not just about what happens inside the bloc. ASEAN was the driving force behind the RCEP agreement, and RCEP is the largest free trade deal on the planet. We're talking about a deal that includes China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. It covers nearly a third of the world's population in GDP, and ASEAN is right there smack in the middle of it all.
But that impressive economic story, it's really only one side of the coin. There's a very compelling counter-argument that when it comes to the biggest security and political issues, ASEAN's influence is actually pretty limited. It might be more of a paper tiger.
So you might be thinking, what's the issue then? If the trade numbers are so good, where does the weakness come from? Well, the problems really start to pop up when you look at the political and security divisions inside the bloc itself. For one thing, the economic disparity inside the group is just staggering. You've got Singapore, one of the world's richest nations per person, in the same organization as Myanmar, one of its poorest. It's incredibly difficult to create policies that work for everyone when you have that kind of gap. And this quote right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the problem. The bloc's core principle, its golden rule, is non-interference in the internal affairs of its members. It was a rule designed to protect new nations, but now many see it as its greatest weakness. It basically forces the group to stay silent, even in the face of major crises.
And this principle pretty much paralyzes the group. It's prevented any kind of meaningful, unified action on the brutal civil war in Myanmar. It's led to a completely fractured response to China's aggressive moves in the South China Sea. And it means the bloc does very little to address rising political repression inside some of its own member countries.
So this internal division becomes a major liability when the whole region has to navigate the growing rivalry between the United States and China. ASEAN is caught squarely in the middle, and its inability to speak with one voice is a huge, huge problem.
And this chart really lays out the dilemma. Economically, ASEAN is walking a tightrope. China is its largest trading partner by a pretty big margin, but the United States is a close second. Angering either one of these superpowers comes with a massive economic price tag.
And perception is key here. Even though many ASEAN nations have strong security ties with Washington, the view on the ground is that Beijing's economic and political influence just outweighs America's now. China's sheer gravity, its proximity, its economic dominance, is reshaping the entire region's strategic thinking.
So where does all of this leave us? After looking at the economic strengths and the political weaknesses, what's the final verdict on ASEAN's true nature?
Let's circle back to our central question and weigh all the evidence we just walked through. Is it a genuine power player, or is it more of a symbolic entity?
Well, the verdict is that ASEAN is both. It's not a simple yes or no. On one hand, it wields genuine, undeniable power as an economic bloc. It integrates economies, and it spearheads the world's largest trade deal. That's real. But on the other hand, that non-interference principle renders it largely symbolic when it has to face the region's most urgent security challenges, like Myanmar or the South China Sea.
And that leaves us with one final critical question. ASEAN has always tried to get its power from not choosing sides. But in a world that's increasingly being forced into either a US camp or a China camp, can that middle path actually survive? We would love to hear what you think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for your time. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Global War Watch Network, and don't forget to join us on social media. You can find all the links in the description.